Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about music. Visible Music College. We are joined by their Vice President of Admissions and Marketing, Heather Isaac. And Heather, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Jeremy, for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So we've covered Visible Music College in the past. We've had Ken come on sharing his amazing story of starting the college, and it's so much more than a college. But let's start. Heather, give us a little background on Visible Music College. Give us a little bit of history.
Yeah. So we are mainly our flagship campus is in Memphis. It was founded in 2000 and by Ken Stortz, Dr. Ken Stortz now. And he was the founding guitar player for a band called Skillet, which is still a rock band out there. They're doing very, very well. And during his time on tour with the band, he really felt like there wasn't necessarily a place for people even like him who are musicians, but they're more, contemporary modern music, rock music even, and also a Christian, and wanting to find a place where they can get trained in both. Where a lot of music schools, especially at that time, were still very conservative in, classical music style, conservatory, that type of thing. And so he felt led to start Visible Music College. At the time, it was Visible School is what it used to be called. And I'm actually alumni, so I went when it was called Visible School. And so that started here in Memphis, and it has grown into Visible Music College. We went through the name change, and then from there, we moved into even multiple campuses and also adding on an online campus component as well. So.
Yeah, you've grown tremendously when you look at not just the number of students impacted, but obviously the different campuses now and just the different programs. And obviously we'll talk all about that during this show.
Yeah.
On your end, when you look at all the things you do, you mentioned the Christian aspect, the faith, kind of the rock music, but it covers now, you all cover just about every single genre you can imagine. Faith still at the root of this, but it's very much on the music business as much as the technical expertise and refinement as well. And so kind of in an overview, talk about the aspects of the different genres, the fact that it's the business, which is critically important, as well as the technique.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we definitely, and nowadays, everyone thinks they can be a YouTube star. And so it's like, well, I can learn everything I need to know from YouTube. And so we hear that a lot. We hear from a lot of people who feel like they don't need to go to college or they don't need to go to school to be a musician or to be an artist specifically. And of course, we love the phrase, you don't know what you don't know. And that's really true of the music industry. And so I think that's where Visible actually just helps kind of fill in those gaps of the not knowing, right? So yes, of course, you could get training outside of college as a musician, but what you're not going to get is someone who's really actually coaching and guiding and helping you. YouTube's not going to be there for you when you have questions, So I think that's an asset that we have, that Visible has, is that we're very knowledgeable in the music industry and on the music business side of things. And so you can get both. Like you said, you can get trained as a musician, grow in your songwriting skills, grow in your own producing skills. That's a huge asset nowadays, especially your ability to produce yourself, to record yourself. All of those things are becoming more and more common. It saves a lot of money, obviously. And you get to learn how to do all of that here at Visible. But then also, we create an environment, we kind of call it like a microcosm of the music industry here at the college. And so really from day one, let's say you're a songwriting major when you come here. And so as a songwriting major, you're going to have classes for songwriting. You're also going to choose an instrument or your voice that you'll also get lessons for that. You're going to get music theory classes. You're going to get digital, producing classes and engineering classes. But where this microcosm comes into play is the other departments in the school. So we have the music business department, we have the music production department. And so, for example, that songwriting major is actually going to get a music business major assigned to them to be their manager. And then their manager, that music business student, is going to teach them about signing contracts, publishing deals, what to look for, what not to look for, and then they're going to actually negotiate a deal with the music production department to get a single recorded and then to get that released, and now how to create an electronic press kit. And so there's a kind of a little music industry world that exists here in a safe space for our students to start feeling this out on a smaller scale, but is pretty much a replica of what we see happening in the music industry. So it's a pretty unique environment in that sense, especially because we are much smaller than most colleges that even do offer music programs. And so having a 1-to-5 teacher to student ratio, these students actually feel like they're getting all the attention in the world to really learn as much as possible about the industry, about their skill and their gifting and what they're really wanting to pursue. And so I think they kind of get that intense experience when they come here as a student.
Yeah, and they're immersing themselves in a culture of learning and creativity with others who are joining together and creating their own, bands and such too. So you get the collaboration and the learning there. Like you said, there's an entrepreneurial aspect, learning the business, learning to be business minded that carries over regardless of whether they pursue music as a full-time career or not. So becoming entrepreneurs and learning. And then also too, I think when you look at just the career for the parents that are listening, who say, I've got children who are interested in this field, and going to Visible Music College, tons of job opportunities when you look at churches and the different musical areas. And like, there's so many different jobs out there, production, music, obviously songwriting, that these, students can go into once they graduate and become very successful in the industry. So a lot of opportunities for what you're doing as a catalyst.
Yeah.
Talk about the different programs, because you do have certificate programs, bachelor's, you have graduate programs, online learning. So talk about all these different programs.
Yeah. So really we have kind of 4 pillar programs. So we have our modern music program, and that houses our worship leading majors, our songwriting majors, and then all the instruments: guitar, bass, drums, keys, vocals. We do even have the occasional strings person or horn player, or somewhere in the orchestral type of instruments. So we do have that occasionally as well, but that's all under our modern music degree program. And the reason is, as I mentioned earlier, modern music is just not as common still, even at the higher education level. And so we really are totally fine if you're a hip hop artist, if you love metal, if you love rock and pop and all that. So your genre of music is welcome here in the modern music program. Then we have the music business degree programs, and that is specifically for people who are looking at a career in the music industry, but are not necessarily looking to pursue being an artist themselves. Although we do have some. In fact, we have one this year. She is an artist, and she felt like she had a lot to learn and wanted to be smart and really learn as much as she could about the music business industry. And so she actually chose music business as her major, but she's still pursuing her own music as well. Really smart move, to have that as well in your toolbox. So, and then we have our music production program, and that is kind of for 2 very different fields, but all within the same camp. And that's for people who are either interested in going into the recording studio business, they want to be producers, they want to own a recording studio, they want to be engineers, or they want to work as live sound engineers. So they want to go on tour with bands and be their live sound person, or they want to work at churches as a director of audio. There's a lot of options in that field, especially the live sound field. And so that's within our music production program. And then our newest one is our creative leadership program. And that's actually split into 2 as well. That can either be for people who are looking more at ministry related jobs. They're interested in being youth pastors, college pastors, missions pastors, or like working for a nonprofit that's faith-based and they want to lead a nonprofit. That creative leadership ministry would be a really great option for them. And then we have the content side of creative leadership. And that's actually more for those like digital media, graphic design, photography, film, digital storytelling. So that's really that side of the creative leadership program, and is becoming, and has already been, a growing need, especially more and more as we just continue to go more digital. The ability to really tell stories digitally, very well is a sought after skill. So that's a great addition to our programs here, is having something that you don't have to be musical at all. And you can have a place here at Visible, learning, like you said, learning alongside other creatives, whether they're musically inclined or not. There is something just very invigorating and inspiring being in an environment where everyone is just so creative and always working on something new, and designing, developing, writing, building. It's just really an inspiring environment to be in for a couple of years. So yeah.
Well, and even as you're talking for the corporate sector, these are great people to bring on when you talk about running your social media, your creativity, your video production, like all these things. Right. Endless opportunities when you start looking at where we're headed in the future for just creatives and the power to create together.
That's right.
Touch on and tie this into, you've got the Kemmons Wilson Center for Leadership. You have camps for youth. You've got a lot going on. So tie in some of these other elements.
Yeah. So, definitely, because, and, especially Memphis, our Memphis campus is like I said, our flagship. We have, for 20 years, really been involved in the community here and looking for ways that, how can we not just be a college, right? How can we also invite people in that wouldn't necessarily be interested in coming for one of our degree programs, but they would love to get some, music lessons for a hobby, or would love to send their kids, to a camp, and they're not even close to graduating high school yet, So I think ways that we can partner in the community and offer something that is super valuable, we hope, for a lot of people. And so, yeah, so you mentioned the Kemmons Wilson Center for Leadership. We're creative leadership. We're very excited about this. This was a grant that we received recently that is for our 5th floor of our campus here in downtown Memphis. And that's going to be not only a place for our creative leadership majors, but it's also going to be more open to the public to come and have, like, conferences and meetings in a really great space. If you haven't been to our downtown campus, to the 5th floor, it overlooks AutoZone Park, and it's just great. It's all glass. It's really beautiful view. And so we're excited for that to be a place to encourage leadership in the city and encourage especially creative leaders in the city. And so hosting events on the 5th floor for things like that. In addition, we're going to also host our Visible Community Music School up on that floor. And that is something, of course, with the last couple of years, it's been difficult for us to offer in person, but we are excited that it's getting started back up. And that really is any age. So we could start with elementary kids, teaching them music lessons, and again, applying that modern music element where, of course, the 8-year-old wants to sing a Taylor Swift song. She doesn't want to sing, an oratorio. And so we love that. And we would love for them to come take lessons with us. So we're excited that that's going to get started back up this year. And then also the camps that I mentioned, we haven't been able to do those in person the last couple of years either. And it's called Visible Music Week. And it is basically, it's Visible, what we do at Visible every day, it's that in a week. And it is the best, like, crash course / just throwing you in the deep end kind of experience, where you show up for camp and you immediately start going into band auditions, and we put everybody into bands. They start rehearsing during the week. They record in the studio. They get to perform in a concert at the end. But then also throughout the day, we're doing like devotions together. We're teaching them music theory. We're giving them some private lessons. It's just like, it's such a great experience for anybody who thinks they might want to go into this field, or they might want to pursue education. come do it for a week and just see. Because I think by the end of the week, you'll know and you'll get the itch. And it'll definitely be like confirmation that this is something that you're wanting to do. And so, yeah, so that's perfect for high school age and then also college age. We have had even older than that come as well. And so that's actually at multiple campuses that we have. We're offering those camps this year. So yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, talk about the different locations because you do have the multiple campuses. So tell us
Yeah.
where you are in the world.
Yes, yeah. So we try to keep it easy because they are really big cities, and so we say Dallas and Chicago, but technically Dallas is in a town called McKinney, Texas. It's just outside of the metro Dallas area. And McKinney happens to be like one of the top safest cities in the country, apparently. So parents love that. And so we are there. We're partnered with a church out there for the campus. And we have an apartment complex that also we work with for our student housing. And then in Chicago area, we're actually in Lansing. And so that's also, again, just outside of that metropolitan area and another great, safe, kind of suburban area that has been really supportive of our campus there. And so we're excited to have those campuses just with lots of community support. And then our online campus, that was something, I mean, a lot of colleges got kind of forced into, whether they liked it or not over the last couple of years. And so, but it's something that we really felt like we were already pretty much prepared for because of our other campuses. We were already on Zoom. We were already doing, distance classes, remote classes with our other campuses. Some of our Chicago students would remote into a class happening here at the Memphis campus. So when everything got shut down and, Visible went online, as a whole, it was a pretty smooth transition for us. And so after the fact, once we kind of came back in person, it was one of those, well, let's keep it going, why not? Because there's plenty of people who aren't necessarily in that season of life anymore where they can just pick up and move to a campus just to go to college, but they could, set aside time to attend classes and things. So we have taken a different approach than a lot of other colleges that do traditional online, which is asynchronous. You kind of do it on your own time. You just do the assignments, read the books, turn everything in. We are still synchronous with our online program. And so we do actually have the students show up at a specific time on Zoom, and they're with other students from our other campuses, but also from, around the country and even from around the world. We have international students in our online program too. And so it's definitely different than, different experience, but it's a richer experience because you are actually interacting with other humans. And you're getting some of that culture, right, of being around other creatives, other artists, and you are getting to experience some of that, even though you're not able to be in person. So it's unique and it's not for everybody, but honestly, we think it's a pretty great hybrid, version of if you can't be in person, this is the next best thing. That yes, you're on your screen, but you are with other people, and we're praying for you, and we're talking about what's going on in your life, and we're getting to interact with you. And it's, I think it's as good as it could get, for the online experience. So,
give me one more thing that you wish everyone knew about Visible Music College.
Oh gosh. Man, I, having been alumni and obviously being on staff as well, I think that if everyone could get to come and experience something, whether it's come do a tour, come to one of our events, come bring your kid to camp this summer. There is something about just being in this space and being around our people and our students that is totally contagious in like the most beautiful way. It has this element of, I want to be here. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of what's going on here. It's exciting and it's always moving. And so I think that's something that you don't get just coming to our website. You don't get just hearing this interview. I think it is something that you do truly have to experience because it is so different. And it's just unlike any other college that I know. And so even just experiencing it at any level, like I said, come to an event, come to a camp, come bring your kid for lessons, and you'll see the difference. So.
Yeah, definitely so many ways to plug in. You do have a beautiful campus, as you mentioned, right in the heart of downtown, looking over AutoZone Park, which is a beautiful campus. And then when you look at just all the opportunities, the events, like you said, to plug in, and even for us on the City Current side, we've worked with you to hire like the students to come out as a band and perform at different events. And it's like, there's so many ways that you can engage with what you're doing. And when you look at just how many graduates you have like yourself that are out doing good in the community here and around the world, it's phenomenal. And so truly amazing impact you all are having. Wrap up with contact information. So website, social media, where do we go to plug in and learn more about Visible Music College?
Yeah, awesome. So our website is just visible.edu. If you're interested in the summer camps, just /VMW or Visible Music Week. And then you can find us on any social media. We're Visible MC. So we just make it a little shorter for you. And then also, if you have questions for me, feel free to reach out to me. It's just heather@visible.edu. I'd love to talk with you. As Jeremy mentioned, we're also placing our students everywhere. So internships is a huge part of what we do here. We want to get them experience out in the field, multiple internships, usually during their time, connecting with Memphis organizations, community, reach out programs, things like that. So we definitely would love to hear from you and love to connect with you.
Well, Heather, greatly appreciate all you and your amazing team are doing. Tell Ken hi, and thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremy.